in the office, man, and I'll never forget this impact and this vision, man. You would be reading your Bible. And, man, it was just a big thing for me, just be like, man, this dude is disciplined. He is balanced. You can see he's pouring into his cup, you know, and I think that's why you saw the response for me, encouraging you to go get it, because, man, I just saw that you had that core, and I knew you had that it factor that was there and established. So that
Much
made me
appreciated,
gas you up, man. So
much appreciated, man. You know, I had to pray because I didn't know what I was doing. So I was asking the Lord, hey, can you give me some answers, God? Nah, but you know, my relationship with God is very dear to my heart. I feel like, you know, in my core values, I know we talked about this yesterday with Coach Samantha Williams, but in my core values, God is always first. So that's something that's very dear to me.
In our family.
yeah, amen. No, that's how it should be. And that's where, you know, to answer your question, how I got into coaching, it's the same for me. It was faith. You know, I've always loved basketball. I am from Dalton, Georgia. So for any of you who ever watch Jeopardy and they ask you for $300 and a location question of where the carpet capital of the world is, I want you all to be prepared from this session and answer Dalton, Georgia, my hometown. You know, it was a great area, hardworking people. My dad was in the carpet industry. My mom was actually a drug and alcohol rehab counselor. Okay, so you can imagine the stories and the things that she dealt with. But neither one of my parents, they didn't play basketball. So I just love the game, had a passion for it. Dalton's not a big area. It's about 2 hours north of Atlanta. You would think it'd be basketball country, but it's really not. You know, Georgia is predominantly a football state. I really had no guidance. Had a great high school coach. After high school ended, I didn't play AAU, no circuit, nothing like, you know, it is today. And I had a great high school coach that said, hey, let's go to a JUCO and get you an opportunity. So I went to Wadley, Alabama. All right. And I probably bet a paycheck that nobody knows where Wadley, Alabama is. All right. If you pulled it up on the map, you couldn't find it. It was a small, cute town with no red lights, no grocery store, nothing. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I had 2 great years there. My goal obviously was to go high major D1. The good Lord did not bless me with the athleticism or skill to play at the high level. So I was a realist and hung it up and told my parents, listen, I love the game and I'm going to go search and work for the best men's program in the country. So this is a true story. I actually went to a grocery store because you got to understand, when I graduated junior college, that was in 2000. This is before social media it is today, where it justifies or, you know, tells you every single day who's the best of the best or everybody's input. So in 2000, how I had to find out who the best program was is I went to a grocery store and grabbed a Sports Illustrated. And Auburn men's basketball was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So this is where I'm going with faith. I'm like, shoot, this is a sign. You know, Garth Brooks just came out with a song, Unanswered Prayers. I'm like, Lord, you're talking to me. Let's go. You know, it's a theater school to the junior college I'm at. So I apply, call the men's coach. I have a job lined up. You know, it's looking like it's all falling in place. And the men's coach, Cliff Ellis, who's now at College of Charleston, and they're always in the NCAA tournament. He's done a phenomenal job. He calls me back and says, hey, Sam, we got a problem. You know, the senior manager is returning, so we can't pay you what we promised. And I'm like, uh-oh. You know, I'm out of state. I don't come from wealth. You know, I needed that money to help pay for my tuition. So at this point, I haven't applied to another school. So I still go to Auburn, and I actually get a telemarketing job selling vacuum cleaners, and I work at the Gap. And it's ironic again, because of my faith, how the Lord placed that in my path, because now I'm always on the phone. Now I'm not selling vacuum cleaners, but I am trying to sell a product. And then obviously I love to dress up and look good on game day. So it's funny how working in the Gap and in the dressing room brought a passion and a fire for a good set of clothes and a nice sports coat. And you know, I was there and doing that job for about 3 months. And then there was a flyer, I'll never forget, when I was about to get on the bus to go to class, that they were looking for a video coordinator. And video coordinators, when I went through college, were not what they are today. You know, every school has a video coordinator now. At that time, they were going from VHS tapes and transferring it into a digital process on a laptop. So the staff on the women's side was all older and nobody wanted to deal with a computer. So they thought, let's put a flyer out there and see what one young kid would love to, do this, and we'll pay them and they can help us out. And, I'm like, are you kidding me? Half the girls on the team are in my class. I love basketball. And, man, I can learn the game from, a Hall of Famer, Joe Champy, who coached at Auburn for 25 years. So it was an unbelievable, situation. And, again, faith kind of just led me to women's basketball. I fell in love with the women's game because, again, a lot of the girls on the team were in my class, and we'd work out and grind. And I'm like, man, the passion and energy that they play with, and I'm a rah-rah contagious guy. And I was like, you got me sold. And, and this is when, we've had a lot of issues with, especially males. Now it's changed over the last 2-3 years, but, we're talking about 15 years ago, the respect wasn't there. And I'm trying to tell all my friends, I'm like, yo, you need to come to a girls game because these girls can hoop, and it's fun to watch, and, man, it was just great that the opportunity I was given. And then the coach there retires, and Nell Fortner, the 1996 Olympic coach, comes in, is now the new head coach. And on the college side, it's almost unheard of that they're going to keep, a GA on a previous staff onto the next one. So again, just another blessing from the good Lord that Nell had enough confidence in herself and faith in me. And some people put some good words in to keep me on her staff, or else I might not even be in the game today. And then I had one great year with her and got a chance to move to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Was married, went 2 years great there with Charlene Thomas Swinson. It was awesome. Then a job opened back up at Georgia Tech and was there for 6 wonderful years. And then here comes Louisville off of Final Four, an unbelievable run. And Cam Newbauer, the assistant, gets offered the Belmont job. And now they're moving and just accept it, because you got to remember college football was having that landscape where they were all changing conferences. So Louisville just agreed to go to the ACC. So they needed a guy with video experience. Hey, I'll let you boy. All right. Southeast ties, check the box. I fit that requirement. And then there was Samantha Williams, who was on staff, who I worked with, who knew me and could justify me. So it was a perfect fit, and, man, just a truly blessing, that I'm at one of the, best programs in the country in women's basketball. So, man, how God works in your life.
Man, thank you for telling that story. And, that's actually the first time I really heard it all the way through. I've heard bits and pieces here and there, but to sit down and hear the entire story makes me think about some things. And I want you to go a little bit deeper about how you actually, you looked at that video coordinator position as something that can help you grow into the coach that you want to be. So could you kind of speak along the lines of how could you look and see, okay, what's the best opportunity for me if I want to actually get into coaching?
Take a job that nobody wants. I think it's that simple. Obviously I never envisioned, like I told you, video coordinator just started when I came. There was no future, blueprint like there is today that, hey, you can start video coordinator, you can work your way up the ladder. Like, there was never that lingo. Like, I never went in thinking, oh my God, I can fulfill my dreams and move up. I was just like I told you, I was desperate. I was hungry. I'm trying to pay the bills, and I wanted to do something I loved. So there was no question. And that's what I tell people today is, man, when you want to get your foot in the door, do the jobs that nobody wants. And if you do the jobs nobody wants, you do it with a smile on your face and you do it with passion and it's contagious, then guess what? Other opportunities will be put on your plate. And if you continue to attack each opportunity that's put on your plate, then eventually you'll be eating at the big kids' table.
Love that. Love that. I actually love how you just said, and for all of us that are on the call and you've never been on one of our calls, make sure you have something to write with. You got your phone out. You got something where you can take notes, because what is all of this information if you don't apply it, right? So, so when you talk about actually being an assistant coach and stepping into this role that you have, since you've been at Georgia Tech, you've been at Tulsa, you've been at these huge programs, what are some of the things that you do that make you extremely effective at your role as an assistant coach?
Egoless. Understand who I work for. Obviously anytime somebody gives you an opportunity, it's almost like a car lot. You're going to have that owner with their name on the sign. It's their company. It's their business. I'm almost like a salesman. Do you need me to wax the car to make sure it looks good? Do you need me to put the gas in there so if the customer comes and buys it, that they're ready to take it around? It's like I said, it's that behind the scene Sorry.
Look,
it's recruits. It's a lifestyle, but I'm here for you. I got to deny the call. Now, she was going to come in. I'm in trouble, y'all.
Now you would have answered that now. If you felt it in your blood, you would have answered that phone now.
I would have been just like Babyface last week. Oh, sorry, something wrong with the internet. We got to do it next week. But no, I just think it's just a grateful attitude. Obviously I was blessed, like I told you at the beginning, with 2 loving parents that were grounded, that taught me, man, just be contagious of what you do. They raised me to chase happiness and not money. And when you do that, I think that's why I had a work ethic of just being, of gratitude, of just, like I said, contagious. I think that's what, when people tell me feedback or provide, they always talk about my energy and passion for the game. And I always tell people it's real love, and what you see is what you get. There's no smoke and mirrors. I've chosen a profession that I love. And when you do that, every day you wake up, you don't feel like you're going to work. And then again, you need luck. And I'm going to share with y'all one story that I didn't sell. As awesome as that sounds, and obviously you do need to have some luck, like I did, that I happened to be on that bus. I happened to see that flyer. It's not always been easy. When I took the Tulsa job, okay, in DP, you kind of brought it up at the very beginning, something about, you hit something that made me think about it, about being ready. I don't think you're ever ready. The reason I'm here today is I've had great other assistant coaches I've worked for, along with that have, not only has my head coach been great, but the assistants I've been working with have been phenomenal. And I think that's very important. But also I made a mistake. My second year at Tulsa, we won the first year. We had an unbelievable year. We went to the NCAA tournament, set a school record for wins. We inherited a bunch of juniors and seniors from the staff in front of us was Mike Neighbors, who's the head coach at Arkansas. He was an assistant. Kathy McConnell, Miller, phenomenal coach who ended up going to Colorado. It was an unbelievable staff. So we inherited that. First year, we win the Conference USA. We're a 12 seed in March Madness that beats a 5 seed in North Carolina State. It was an unbelievable run. But deep down inside, I told myself, I'm just not ready. I could just feel it. Even though I was given an opportunity, there was just not a confidence level about me. The second year, I found Wynn through Pat Summit, and she was looking for a video coordinator. So I actually applied. Okay. And this is a young assistant who did not understand how things work. I made a no. All right. It came back full circle. One of the assistants at Tennessee was best friends with my head coach, Charlene Thomas Swenson. So as you all can imagine, it got back to her and blindsided her, and I didn't have a job. And Charlene deserved to, let me go, because what they said was, hey, good luck on the interview. And when you come back, it was kind of read between the wall. I hope you get it because you're not going to have a job here. And she deserved to do that because, again, I'm young and I didn't do it the right way. So Pat calls me and says, hey, I can't give you a job because I feel like you're a big, help for Charlene. I'm like, uh-oh, now I'm in trouble. And that was a hard lesson to learn. So Georgia Tech, to go back to Georgia Tech, in October, okay, this is unheard of. And, again, the good Lord has looked over me, and I'm very thankful. They had a video coordinator position. Again, this position's very young and new. They had a video coordinator position for men and women's basketball. You had to do both sports. And they had not had it filled. Oh. And so, me, I'm just, looking every day like, okay, is there anything out there? There's not, but I'm going to have faith. And it did. And I just, and again, I didn't think nothing about it. I'm like, okay, I've been going with one sport. If I got to go do 2 and I got to stay there till midnight every night, let's do it. Because I love the game. And so that's how I got back in. And it was at Georgia Tech. And then Michelle Joseph, who was awesome and extremely grateful, saw how hard I worked and the energy and passion I could bring. And she had an opening in her staff 2 years later and moved back to that assistant role and learned to do it the right way from there on out.
Love that. I love how you were just so transparent. And I think that that's something that actually always draws me to you, especially within your coaching. You're very transparent with your student athletes. You're very transparent with your staff members, everybody around you. I can remember when I was a young assistant at Marshall University, and it was the first practice. We all know how that first practice is. I mean, we had a meeting for about 4 hours before the practice about what we was going to do, how we was going to get after the girls, what type of culture we want to build, all of these different things. And the practice starts, and I forgot everything. Like, I literally couldn't remember a drill. I couldn't remember. I couldn't even pass the ball. I was trying to pass the ball. My hands was shaking. I didn't know anything that I was doing. And I remember after the practice, you know, my boss sits me down, Matt Daniels sits me down, and he said, you know, how'd you think the practice went? And I said, man, I'm sorry. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, I'm sorry, man, I was worthless in this practice. He said, man, it's not about you. It's about the kids. What do you think the kids felt? And I was like, oh, okay, all right, cool. So I called Sam Purcell after that moment, and he broke it down to me, and he shared some stories, and he was very transparent with me as a young coach, and that gave me the motivation to not just keep going, but to excel. So he told me, hey, you know, I made some mistakes early in my career, and he shared some of those stories, and he said, but I went back and I got better. So how could you look at that situation and get better? So that's what I want to share with everybody right now. If you are in a situation where you feel like maybe you're not being utilized the right way, or maybe things are not going the way that you want them to go, how can you get better in that situation? So I kind of want you to touch on that, Coach Sam. Like, I know you have great energy, you got passion, but what about those bad days? What about those days when you don't feel like going in the office? Maybe something didn't go right at home, or maybe you're just having a bad day. How do you turn that bad and shift that energy and still have that positive mindset that you always have?
I think it's a lifestyle, man. You know, I think, you know, you can't be like the players. You know, at this level, when you get into the college, you know, coaching, you got to be the mature one of the group. And if you have a bad day, you got to fake it to make it. You know, and then you got to lean on your coworkers. You might pull them aside and just say, hey, I'm going through some stuff. I'm going to lean on you. I'm going to need your juice, but I'm going to be here with you. I ain't going to bail out on you. You know, you got to be able to have that family relationship and have those hard talks. Obviously, your relationship with your boss is going to matter, you know, because obviously you don't want to go to them and give your problems when he's dealing with other problems from the kids on the team, you know. But one thing I think I've learned, and again, I think it's helped separate me or give me an opportunity, is, again, just my attitude of just being with passion is I pour into myself every day. You know, like I told you in my story, when I left Tulsa, I left because I didn't think I was ready. All right. I was real with myself. Nobody told me you couldn't do this. I told myself I couldn't. And that's the one thing about me. I never want to be given anything in my life. Everything that has been put on my plate or handed to me, I want to own. I want to be great at. And so in order to do that, I'm always seeking knowledge. I'm trying to make sure my circle is tight. I'm trying to hang out with people who inspire me. You know, and, you know, I want to make sure my cup's full. I don't want to be dry. I want to be able to answer any questions that come my way. And if I don't, I want to seek to find out. And I think because I've always had that attitude, I've been able to handle those situations that, you know, you brought up. And that's why I feel like, you know, honestly, the good Lord's looked after me and why I'm here today.
Love that. Love that. That made me actually think about, you know, be where your feet are. Like, really master whatever you're involved in right now. Like, master that, and that will actually create another opportunity for you. And that's something that you taught me, Coach. So when you think about it, you know, now that you're at the University of Louisville, this program is doing some phenomenal things. I mean, you know, Jeff is taking this thing to a whole nother level to have a great staff that he has right now. What are some of the things that you guys do as a staff that kind of bring you guys closer together? Because I always see everybody together. I never see Louisville's coaching staff with one coach saying one thing and the other coach saying something totally different. Everybody's usually on the same page. How do you guys keep that type of chemistry within your staff?
Well, I think it starts with Coach Walls. I mean, he hired a certain ingredient. You know, you got to be competitive. You got to love this. It's like when we recruit. We don't recruit players who like basketball. We recruit players who love basketball. And when you love basketball, you wake up every day with a passion and a juice that you want to be together. That, man, I don't care how long we here, because when you love it, you don't think about a clock. You know, you got goals, you got dreams, and we don't even need to write it on paper. It's just a vibe that can't be denied. And I think that's why we've had so much success, because Coach Walls continues to hire the right people. And he's phenomenal. Like right now, we'll go back to the video job that I was describing that I had. You know, when I got in, it was just transforming. Then there was that period, DP, when you were here, that it was only video. Now Coach Walls has made that position that you got to have graphic design background, because as you all can imagine, women's basketball is trying, and I love where the women's game's at. We're trying to fight for selling our game, selling our players, selling what women's basketball is all about, just like the men do. And so in order to do that, you got to be able to produce enough content. So instead of asking the marketing department, which is tied up and got obviously men's sports to take care of because they bring in the revenue, he has now made that video coordinator a graphic design. So we're going to produce everything in-house. And that's that juice where now it keeps us excited because we're bringing him ideas. We're turning it around. We're getting things done. And it makes all of us happy. Whereas if you don't hire the right people and we don't start working together, well, we don't want to hang out together because now we're scared that we ain't going to have a job. We ain't getting the right kids, and this ain't working. So again, I think leadership is so important in the people you work with. It's a team sport, and it takes everybody.
I love that. And just to bring up leadership, sometimes we could think about leadership as, hey, do this, do that, but it's more of a servant leadership. I remember when I was working with Jeff, what he does is he really empowers you. He gives you things to do, and you got to make it happen. And he may not give you a full blueprint of what you need to do, how you need to do it, but you need to make it happen. And sometimes I think that's what creates a juice inside of us to the point to where you feel like you could do anything. So when you go back to you as an assistant coach and you're thinking about, I'm in a practice now and I'm trying to be supportive in my role, what are some of the things that an assistant coach should be doing during a practice to make sure that they're very effective?
Ooh, that's a great question. Again, it starts with the head coach. You got some head coaches who do everything. So if that's happening, you got to be eyes on the prize. You got to make sure players are ready to flip the jersey when coach is ready to go to the next drill. You got to make sure if somebody's emotional, you don't make the head coach mad because they talking the whole time. That you got to make sure this practice flows. You got to have awareness and just, I don't know, it's just an it factor. The coaches that I've worked with over the last 15 years who are good practice coaches are very aware of their surroundings. They're very passionate about making players better. They're very, they're great at assisting and making their head coach look good. Those are good qualities to have. Because every day, and that's the one thing I learned from Coach Walls, you can write these great practice plans, but they hardly ever work out as written out. You got to be able to adapt. I always say, people say, man, golly, how fun is it to be a basketball coach? I tell them, I'm not a basketball coach. I'm a life coach. Mm-hmm. All right. Basketball is 15% of my job. Our job is to inspire, motivate, challenge, and deal with hard life issues, just like this going on right now. I hope everybody is doing well out there. And we've had great talks with our teams. We're naturally wired as coaches to say, push and fight, and you're down 10, you got this. But right now, some of us don't, and that's what I mean by being life coaches and transparent and having a heart and showing that you care and truly love these kids. And when you have all those ingredients mixed up, man, it makes something special. And when you have that, everybody on board, and then you have good practices. But if not, to answer your question, that's when you got to come in. What can I do to make this ship go? What can I make us to get 1% better every single day? You're not going to win a championship in October. It's going to be ugly. You got to be able to tell your head coach, guess what? We good. They're not going to feel good, but you got to be able to say, we're going to get better. You got to provide hope. You got to make sure that sail's got wind in it and that you're still headed north and not south. So, I mean, that's what I think, make good assistants and, help out the program.
Yeah. And I think, something that you said earlier really struck a chord when you said, make sure that you're making your boss look good. Like, ultimately, you're supposed to be making the head coach look as good as possible. And that's in any position, whether you're a graduate assistant, a video coordinator, and a third assistant, second, whatever position you have, you're supposed to be providing value to that program. If you're not providing value, you're actually taking things away. You now become a liability. So you got to make sure you're always providing value because you don't want to get replaced. And that can happen really quick. So you got to make sure you are on top of things. So, Coach, could you go a little bit? Now, this is something I gotta get your answer on. You are a fierce recruiter. I'm talking about, like, when I first met you, I was like, yo, dude is everywhere. I don't know how he sleeps. He's on the phone 24/7. You know, and you've been able to recruit, I mean, you name it, Asia Dur, all of these top players. How have you been able to not only get in the door with these type of players, but kind of like establish yourself as a fierce recruiter? What are some of the tactics that you've been using?
Day one, like I told you, I had to sell vacuum cleaners. Like, seriously, y'all, when I was in college, how eye-opening that was, and you all know, when your back's against the wall and you got to put bread on the table, what you got, you know, and to learn those sales strategies. And this is when you call before telemarketing. This was done before you could put call block on the internet so they didn't call you, right? I remember growing up in that high school, y'all, when telemarketers would call, my dad would be like, hello, and then he'd realize it's telemarketing. He'd be like, quit calling me, and he'd slam the phone. And I was like, you know, that was a fear as a kid. And then now I apply for that job, and all I can think about is my dad on the other end. Every time I call the house trying to sell a vacuum. And you had to learn skills of, like, look, how you doing? You had to keep them on and then throw your sales pitch in. And I'll never forget, I asked my boss at the time, I said, what do I do if they call and cuss me out? And they would say, just tell them Jesus loves you. Because, you know, when you tell them God loves you, it's amazing how people quit cussing you out, you know. And it was just, you know, that humor and just that, you know, awareness and, man, just fight and just, you know, never tell yourself no, I honestly believe carried over into college recruiting. Because, you know, that's the one thing I would say for any recruiter, you know, is never tell yourself no. Make them tell you no. And if they tell you no, then it wasn't meant to be. But, you know, never, you know, check yourself out. So I think that's the biggest thing I think that's in me that helps. And people know, like, if you're going to call too, and you're trying to tell me to move to Tulsa, Oklahoma, why am I moving to Tulsa, Oklahoma? Mm-hmm. So I think that's where it comes back, a passion and a love of, you know, who I am, that, you know, I'm going to sell what I truly believe. And I'm always going to be real and 100. I'm never going to tell a lie because that way I never have to remember what I told somebody. I'm always going to tell the truth. So every conversation that transpires later down the road is going to be a consistent message and not something I'm just trying to say something, you know, to make somebody feel good.
Love that. Love that. You know, that actually makes me think about, you know, in our group coaching program that we have, where we meet and we talk to all of the coaches that's members. We went over a play, and I gave the play yesterday as well, but it just keeps coming back up in my head for some reason. But, you know, it's called HOT. So in your communication, you want to make sure it's hot, meaning you want to make sure, because we know in the summertime when it's hot outside, we love to go outside. So in our communication, we want to come out and play. We want everybody to make sure that they feel comfortable to speak to us. So you want to be honest, you want to be open, and you want to be transparent. And you want to run that play as much as you can. So I love that you opened that up. So Coach, when you start to get into actual practice planning, and you're sitting down planning a practice, and the staff is in the office, what does that look like at the University of Louisville? Is everybody in the office together? Is everybody doing their own thing and kind of meeting up at practice? What does that practice, that pre-practice look like?
Man, y'all won't believe this if I told you. All right, so we work in 4 phases, and this is where Coach Wall is an absolute genius. All right, he's going to focus on the important stuff, you know, and it's relationships with players. Sometimes practice plans, y'all, you can write practice plan for 2 hours. And like I said, probably 90% of the time, you ain't never following that piece of paper all the way through. So why are you spending 2 hours a day when you can focus more of your attention, your time in other areas? And so he hires experienced coaches who are able to think on the fly. You know, just like in a game, if you down 10 and you got 2 timeouts, you better think on the fly. Because I promise you didn't go in that game thinking you're going to be down 10. So by having that kind of mindset daily in practice allows us and makes us good coaches, where you constantly got to think, you got to adjust. So in games, you don't see us as a staff ever panic because that's how we do practice every day, you know. And as far as player development, I actually had to talk about this earlier at 2:00. How we do it is in the summertime, he's great. And DP, you mentioned this earlier. He gives all freedom to assistant coaches and players. He ain't going to put a roll on you. If you're a kid that can't shoot 3, and guess what? Next year, you want to pop your shirt and say, I'm a 3-point shooter? Well, you got all summer to put in that work and prove it to me. I ain't going to question you. I'm not going to tell you not to. If you can believe, you can achieve. So go out there and show me and put some work in. All right. Now, when it comes to October, now we got to start focusing on the team. So in the summertime, it's about the individual. October, now it's about the team. Now we're going to put some testing in, maybe some shooting drills. All right. Maybe some, we call it a green light. You got to make 5 shots from 5 spots from the 3 in 2 minutes. If you can't make that in 2 minutes, you do not have the green light. You do not have the green light, you don't shoot in the game a 3. You had all summer to be able to hit that shot. Now, you might not make it that one test, but we'll retest. But if you constantly don't make that test all week, then that's where we start at the end of October, talk about your role. As much as I want you to shoot that 3 is not a high percentage shot right now. So the team needs you to shoot this shot based on what you worked on this summer. So it puts ownership into the players. It's not coach driven, it's also player driven. Now, obviously, it's my job on the side or behind the scenes to provide them film, motivation, statistics, my 2 cents, to help guide them down the right path. But like you all know, if a player doesn't believe in it and doesn't have the right mindset, you just chirping to the birds, to be honest with you, and they're not listening. And then, once November comes, then it's about taking shots within sets that obviously we put in place for the personnel that we have. And then the rest is history, just trying to, maintain that balance and don't overwork them and make sure that we're truly ready for the game and don't get hurt in practice. Don't be stupid, pretty much.
Man, I love, you went deep. I didn't know you was gonna go that deep. You should have let me know. But that's why I told everybody, make sure you have a pen, pencil, you got your notes out. He dropped 4 gems. The first one during the summer, make sure you're doing some individual work. Make sure that the kids are actually working on their individual game. Then when you get into the fall, it's more about the team. So start making sure that the team is actually taking on their responsibilities. Then when we get to the late fall, you should know your role. Like KYP, know your personnel so everybody knows their role. All right, so make sure you know that. Then the last one, you got to take the right shots in the right sets, right? We want to get the ball to the right player at the right time so we could actually win this game. I love that, Coach. So we're going to now open it up for question and answers. If there's anybody that has any questions for Coach Sam, you want to ask him anything about your program, maybe you're trying to change the way that you do some of your stuff. We wide open right now. Coach Sam, he's on fire today.
I put Shelly on the spot. I'm a girl.
Really quick, before we get into question and answer, we love to network. We're on this so we can network and get to know each other. So if you can drop your name, your number, your email address, what school you work for in the chat, and we will get you, we will email it to you tomorrow so you guys can connect.
Love that. Thanks, babe. Because, I'm a flamingo for all of my people that don't know about coaching in the jungle. But if you need to know about that, I could give you a session. But my wife is a lion, so she is all about the results. She's driven by the results. I am a flamingo, so I am driven by people. So I could be on this call all day. My wife would be like, "What'd you get done?" I'm like, "I had a great conversation." All right, we open. Any questions?
Hey, Sam, I got a question for Sam.
There we go.
Let's go. Sam, my guy, appreciate you, man. Shelly Sheets, Loyola University here in Maryland. Hey, Sam, how, love your energy as a recruiter, all that stuff. How do you guys divvy up recruiting responsibilities within your staff?
You know what? That's a great question. Again, Coach Walls is so unique. We're all entitled in every area. There's no, this is your responsibility. It's literally 1 through 3. He don't get caught up in titles. He gets caught up in what are we producing? What are we doing? It forces us to work as a team. Like Stephanie Norman is an absolute beast. She is machine. She is like next level, y'all. Like when I put down a phone, she's already been on 3 other phone calls. I'm like, man, I can't keep up. My girl's just killing it, But that's where we have a great working relationship. We hired, we lost Sam Williams, who obviously was on yesterday, who was phenomenal. And again, Coach Walls makes the right hire. And we hire a coach from Georgia Tech, JP. And then we just have a great working relationship and one common goal of, okay, Steph's great at, the database typing, forward thinking list. Boom. JP is phenomenal on the road, traveling, working those certain people, meeting the right people. Boom. That's her avenue. Me, when we need to do video breakdowns, getting on the kids, selling Big Vision, making, videos for social media. That's my avenue. And then before you know it, like, okay, who's covering what? Who does what well? And we're just constantly just together. And I think that's what makes us special. So to answer your question, it's not just one person. It's whatever we got to do and what everybody else's strength, let's play to it.
Love that.
That's unheard of.
Yeah, I have a follow-up question. Yeah, for sure. So obviously it's, everybody has a hand in recruiting. Do you guys focus on like classes? Like say you have the 21 class and Steph has the 22 class, or are you guys do regions? How do you kind of divvy it up that way in the sense from the next level?
I hate, what I'm laughing because I feel bad because as much as you all need a great blueprint and a model to work from, we're not the right model to work from. Because again, he hires experienced coaches. So if you're unexperienced, you obviously want to be starting at Louisville. I'm just keeping it real. That's one thing he looks for when he hires somebody to join our staff, that he doesn't necessarily have to teach. It's like the practice plan. He doesn't want to spend 3 hours to get you right when he can spend 3 hours to get a player right, and because we're all experienced, we go on hey, I was at Georgia Tech, so I recruited across the nation. JP, I told you, was at Georgia Tech. Steph, obviously, all over. So, hey, do you know this area, this high school? And we kind of just, again, it may be not the simplest model, but it's just a constant talking of who has a relationship here. If you get on the phone and you ain't got a vibe, pass it on. Hey, I'm pulling teeth. This one ain't matching up. Okay, I'll take it. Let me see what's up. And again, it goes back to just being real, and there's no ego. It's not like I come in and tell Steph, oh, I got this kid. I'm like, Steph, I'm 0-4. I'm trying, but this ain't working, and it's just, okay, here, let's try this. Or she might do vice versa, and again, that's our ultimate goal is let's find that one kid who fits our program. And we always pat each other on the back when you get it done. I mean, obviously we're competitors, so we're human nature where we're all trying to, sign as many as we can. But at the same time, we're not pointing fingers and saying you're not working or you're not on board. And again, it's such a unique environment that it's fun to be a part of, and we just find a way to work together.
Love that. And I done seen that phone go around so many people in that office. Man, that phone will go from one side of the office to the next side of the office real quick.
Oh yeah. No, it's great. And Coach Wallace he's great. Again, it's hard. And that's why I said it. I feel bad because I know a lot of people want a blueprint. And I've worked at other schools where, Shelly, like you said, you're in charge of here and you're in charge of there. But some head coaches, let's say you're a staff member and you really don't work that hard. And 2 years from now that you need that class to be 5 and you gave it to a coworker who didn't do nothing. Now we all not eating, and that's hard. That's a tough pill to swallow. And then now all of a sudden you've caused friction within your staff, and then you're going to carry that over the court, and I think that's the one cool thing that our players know is there's a chemistry within us that they know life issues happen. They know adversity happens, but when they see us working together, then they got no excuse to point fingers at themselves, that this is truly one operation and one ship that's rolling in the right direction. And we're going to find a way to work together, and it takes everybody.
Leading by association. Love it. All right. So we're open. Any more questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I was wondering, how do you manage, player egos, whether it goes from the best player or to the last player on the bench? How do you manage egos? Yeah,
great question. I think we have real hard talks, and I've got several examples. I mean, first of all, I think our style of play helps with egos. We share the ball. We highly encourage being a great teammate. I know that's what I do. I'm the gas coach. DP, you asked me the question earlier, how can assistants help? You help in that area right there. When a player's about their ego. When a player's just trying to get theirs. So how can you creatively not call them out, but encourage an environment that's everybody going to eat, that everybody looks good? And I think that's where my video background comes in. And if you follow me on social media, I'm always trying to post that one kid man, look at this extra pass. It might have nothing to do with a box score. Or like Mikasa Robinson. Oh, my God, I can't say nothing good things about her. I get upset because they never write about her. And I'm like, y'all, if you watch us, she's the real reason we win most of these games. Like my girl over there diving in the bleachers, got enough time to eat some popcorn and take a sip, get back in the play and get the rebound. Like, I ain't never seen nothing like it. So I'm posting that on Twitter. I ain't posting my kid who went for 20. So now I'm encouraging the other stuff, you know, so that takes care of that ego. You know, when you always fluffing the pillow for the kid who's scoring 20 and you don't acknowledge the other people who doing all the dirty work, now you got problems. And I think that's where assistants come in, where our head coach doesn't have to get involved. So, you know, and then the other thing, we have hard talks, you know, and right now, here's a great example that's going on that I got every kid's ear right now is the final dance. This couldn't be a better time for me right now because I know every kid ain't going nowhere because first of all, you should be at home. And if you ain't at home watching it, I need to talk to you about that, okay? Because you should be in isolation and not with other people, all right? But, I mean, we got Dennis Rodman. We got Phil Jackson telling Michael Jordan to make the extra pass to John Paxson. You know I'm at the couch just tweeting the team, you know, subliminal messages like, y'all hear this? Y'all hear the greatest team, what they were doing, the adversity they went through? Yeah, everybody talks about the Bulls and the dynasty, but y'all, they had real life issues. They had to find together to work as a team. So it helps them when I tell them what they should do when they have examples from professionals who had to go through the same thing. So that's what, you know, things that I try to do behind the scenes.
Love that, man. I'm gonna get the water and pour it on you because you are on fire.
I just
today.
feel like going, ah!
You are on fire, coach. That's what I'm talking about. Keep bringing that heat. Where's the next question gonna come from? Who coming next? What
I feel
you
like
got?
giving you a chest bump, coach.
There we go. No, come on. You give me this little reaction.
Hey, chill out. Ain't gonna be no chest bumping.
We're gonna break the internet tonight, y'all.
Any more questions? We're open.
Come
Hi,
on.
Coach. Paige Corkins from Concordia College.
Yeah.
I did have actually 2 questions, but I'll start with one. How would you say you measure your success?
Personally or as a team?
Personally.
My success is, it's like what I tell my players. Your goals are my goals. You know, your vision's my vision. You know, it's not about me. You know, when you come to Louisville, that's the first question we sit down in your home visit. What's your ultimate end game? You know, like from right now, for me, Jasmine Jones, y'all, man, I can start crying right now. I knew that kid in 7th grade because I was at Georgia Tech. So her AAU team would come all the way up to Atlanta and play all the time. So I saw that kid early, and I was like, ooh, she going to be top 5 program, boy. I would love her. I'm going to try to sell it to Georgia Tech, but I don't know if I'm going to get her. Then I get the Louisville job, and I said, hello, these guys going to line up. I got a chance. You know, and I went in the home and, man, just poured my heart out. Her mama set me on a stool and gave me the business. But I told her, listen, you don't know who you're talking to. I'm not no coach who got on the internet and read about your daughter. I know about your daughter. I watched her since 7th grade. I believe in this kid. I'm going to be with her from all the way to the end. And, you know, and you got to understand, her dad worked at Florida State, y'all. At Florida State, our competition in our conference. And me and Jeff just worked it, you know, and never let up, you know, and just kept pushing about how much we believed in that kid. We get her to commit. And we knew what we got because she has energy. She has passion. She can jump out of the gym. She was raw. We knew she could be a pro. I mean, and she told us that that's what she wanted. So when we knew deep down inside what she could be, and then she's saying the same thing, I'm like, hello, it's like a marriage. Come on. This is going to be a good life right here because we both on the same path. And it's all for success. So when she achieved that goal this year, you know, and I hate that the season ended, but she was a first-round draft pick, and the mock drafts never talked about her all year. And I'm thinking to myself, y'all, who is writing these mock drafts? Have y'all seen Courtney Williams from Connecticut? She got the nastiest mid-range jumper in the pros. And Jasmine Jones had the same game as she did. High energy, mid-range pull-up. You could see all the dominoes line up. And I'm like, Jazz, just stay the course. Don't pay attention to people who don't matter. Stay focused, and we're going to get this done. And so to hear her name, you know, called, man, I was in tears. And that's how I measure success. She came here to play at the highest level, and guess what? She did it. So I'm over here Tootsie rolling in Louisville.
And then my other question was, if you can have a conversation with your younger self, you know, going through your journey, what would be the one key thing that you would tell yourself?
Now, hold on now, because I'm gonna give.
Hey, that's a great question.
Hey, I'm gonna help you out, Coach Sam. Now, Coach Paige always come with the question queen. So she gives the most difficult question. So if you can come through with an answer on this question, Coach Paige will be extremely satisfied.
Paige, me and you could have sold some serious vacuum cleaners back in the day, girl. All right. I love questions because questions provide dialogue. You know what? I want to change a thing. You know, you need to fall on your face in order to understand where you're going. You know, for every hard time, that's ultimately you'll find a good time down the path. You know, nobody just has easy success. Life's tough. Sometimes you need to be punched in the gut or challenged in order to get where you want. So I want to change a thing. And that's why I'm honest about sharing my path and my story, because I don't want it to be portrayed for anybody who has college dreams or another job out there that it's going to be easy. You know, that you got to fight, you got to keep going. And there's nothing to say that I'm going to keep going. You know, I'm just thankful every day that I have a job. And I think the one thing about me is I'm never going to get satisfied. You know, even though I'm at home right now, I told you, I'm trying to fill my cup. I never feel like my cup's full. You know, it's always half full. You know, there's always something I can learn. There's always a way I can get better. There's always a way I can inspire. And I try to have that mindset so I'm valuable to my boss. In our program, so I'm not replaced in selling vacuum cleaners.
Thank you, Coach Paige.
Hey, Coach, I have a question for you. Diane from Miami, Florida. With the pandemic and everything that's going on and the D1 recruiting is shut down, what kind of things then can assistant coaches do now since you can't reach out to players? What kind of things that they could do to get themselves ahead as an assistant coach to prove their worth to their head coaches?
Oh, yeah. No, well, obviously, you know, trying to set up as many Zoom calls. You know, technology is amazing where, you know, as a staff right now, we're setting up phone calls where we can get recruits to text us and they have every assistant's number and the head coach. And then we're able just to pop on, and that way if somebody can't, they can't, but if everybody happens to be there at the same time, we're all on, which is awesome, you know, instead of just a regular phone call. And then also, like I said, just we share, we text, we have a mass text between our staff when we see something good or read something. Again, we're all about making each other better. It's not just me being the best in this area or Steph being the best at her area or JP being the best at hers. If we all could be knowledgeable and great, then it's only going to make our unit stronger as one fist. So, you know, it's unbelievable, you know, like you said, you know, this is tough times for us all, but the amount of people who are willing, especially in the basketball community, to share and grow this game, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, coaching basketball has put more stuff out for free than I've ever seen before in my life. I'm trying to keep up, you know, because sometimes it's too much, because then you're like, man, how much did I learn today? I need to slow down. You know, you got to start having life balance on the internet, because you get overloaded. It all starts sounding the same. So you got to filter it. So to answer your question, I just think you just share that passion that you're not just doing nothing, that you're trying to make your team better. You're trying to make yourself better, and you're willing to share that information with your coworkers, and the rest will take care of itself. And I got some nuggets here for you. All right, speaking of that, because everybody's about getting better, and I'm all about free, right? Especially they talking about making, you know, future deductions from paychecks, and everybody going through tough times. So we need to keep hearing the word free as much as possible. All right, so here's some awesome people who inspire me and fill up my cup. Okay, like I tell you, when I wake up, I want to be inspired. I want to be motivated. I want to be prepared for anything that might come my way that maybe I came across on social media. All right. And also who I follow on social media means a lot to, like I said, filling up my cup. You know, you want to follow people just like you want to hang out with people who inspire you, that motivate you, that challenge you. And I seek those people on social media, especially in the basketball world. So here's one guy who is phenomenal. These are all Instagram. It is bball101 EPD. So again, BBALL 101 EPD. And that is Dorian Lee, who was Asia Dur's trainer, who does a lot of free content on player development, who is phenomenal. And I'm going to those who know Asia Dur, she came in highly skilled. I'm not even going to lie to y'all. There was nothing I did. It was, or our staff. It was our job was to stay out of her way and not screw it up. That one was simple. All right. She was destined for success, and it was our job just to make sure that path stayed open. So he deserves a lot of credit along with her for the many hours they put in. Pure Sweat is a great one. All right. It's ran by Drew Hamlin. It's unbelievable when you get on Pure Sweat, Puresweat. He actually has on his handle a cell phone number, and it's amazing. He's created a cell phone that if you text your number, he sends you free content. Now, this phone number is not like us giving out a number that if DP responds, everybody sees it. It's just a number it's like an email. Sends you the content without a continuous chain. Like you ain't going to write him back. It ain't going to be none of that. It's just one large number that sends everything to.
Oh, we get a message every day.
Every day.
We love him.
That's my guy.
That's that guy.
That's my guy. Like, literally, he developed one of my kids. I was training one of my kids. I was using all his stuff. Fire.
Yeah, and again, it's free. And I tell people, y'all, all you got to do is text them. Like, if you can't do that, I can't coach you. Like, come on now. It don't get much easier than that, right? Another one is Hoop Study on Instagram. A lot of player development. They take video breakdowns and explain clips. And again, that's Hoop Study, HOOPSTUDY. And then there's a last one here, a guy named out on the West Coast, NBA guy, Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson, just spell it out like you hear it. So those are free nuggets of guys who are providing information out there that just challenge your brain. Also, you got to filter it and understand, the clientele you're working with and how it can apply for you. But again, there's nothing better than just, some inspiration. And how do you reach your players? Players now don't text. They're big on social media. I mean, I have kids that respond in Twitter DMs before they'll respond to a text message. I'm like, guys, it's the same phone. Like, hello. But again, you got to be able to relate and get to your kids. So you got to figure that out. So sometimes I DM them clips that I see from these guys to, their Instagram just to get dialogue going, especially like Dana Evans. Dana Evans was ACC Player of the Year for us. She was an All-American. So my job is to find more content to say, okay, what am I going to do her senior year to challenge her? So when these WNBA clips came out of, Kennedy Carter or, pros that are already in the WNBA, I'm kind of forwarding her way just to help keep that, engine, full and inspired. So when she gets to the WNBA, she'll truly be ready.
Love it. Dropping, like I said, man, on fire. Okay.
Yeah, Coach, I've got a quick question. So I know you're a big relationships guy, and you've dropped like a ton of nuggets about that and how important it is to develop. What's your philosophy on being able to change someone? So I know Louisville, you recruit specific, like people who love basketball and who are about it. But do you believe that if there's a player you think's got maybe a character issue or maybe some other type of issue, are you like I can change this, or are you mainly just recruiting for really great character?
Oh, great question. Yeah, no, we'll take chances on kids, especially like Bianca Dunham, our senior who started for us. She wasn't even ranked in the top 100, y'all. I know we have a perception out there that we're Louisville and that we only recruit All-Americans. That's lies. There's several kids on our team that that we don't get. Like I said, we don't get caught up in rankings. Some of these people who rank these kids never play basketball themselves. So why am I going to pay attention to a ranking? I always tell kids when I recruit them, don't let somebody else, when they rank you, determine your success and happiness. You determine your success and happiness, not what you're ranked. And don't ever put that under your status. Sam Purcell, 34th in the country. Come on now. Don't do that. So I try to get to know them. One thing about us is if your parents are crazy, we're probably not going to recruit you. We've changed that in our philosophy because, again, as you all know, something's going to happen in college. College is hard. You're going to fall on tough times. So you got to make sure you have that support circle that is going to back you and allow you to help their child so you can get away from the transfer issues that you see out there so much. Because, again, a lot of, and I wrote this on Twitter after the WNBA draft. If the transfer rule was in place now that is being proposed where you can automatically transfer without sitting out, I'd be curious how many of the WNBA players drafted this year would have transferred after their freshman year. For us, Jasmine Jones and Kylie Shook, Jazz was the first round pick and Kylie was the first pick of the second round. They didn't play a lot their freshman year, you know? So do they stick around their sophomore year, you know? So that support system's got to be in place. And again, a lot of that has to do, like I told you, when we recruited Jazz, I had real talks with her mom at the beginning about what to expect, what we believe, to stick with me, because there's a drive and a passion from us that we know we can get this kid right. And so she just had faith in us. So we knew we could change some behaviors just because she saw who we were as people. You know, fortunate we're a proven product over time, that you got to trust the product, that's what we sell. Look, this ain't our first rodeo. You know, just like the young ladies behind me in the screen, we've had several players come through our program that have played to the next level. So that helps, you know. But if you're a first-time coach or a first-time program or somewhere it hasn't had success, I think sometimes you got to let failure happen before you can change habits. Because players, a lot of time, especially their freshman year, think they're ready. It's kind of like I was telling you my story where I grew up. I thought I was the best person on my side of the tracks until I crossed the tracks. And then I got punched in the face and realized, oh, baby, you know, there's a whole different level out there. And then until those moments happen where you can tell yourself that and not a coach tell you that, then you got them where you can change them. Now they're ready to go. And that's where, Diane, you know, the point you brought up during this time, you might not get credit for all the hard work you're putting in, but that window's going to open up, and you got to be ready to capitalize and close those doors and get it moving. So that's what I would say to answer your question there, Lindsay, is, you know, biggest thing is just let failure happen sometimes and then mold it if they're not willing to mold it on the front end. But that's where every kid's different. You can't have all the team under the set. You can't treat them all the same because they're all different personalities.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Appreciate that, Coach.
Yep.
Hey, Coach, I have a quick question.
Okay.
So I know you talked about, like, obviously at Louisville, you're not hiring an assistant who doesn't have a lot of experience. So as a young assistant coach, what do you suggest selling if you're interviewing to try and, like, get that experience? Like, you don't have that experience, so what should you sell yourself as?
Well, I don't think it discourages you from other assistant coaching jobs across the country.
No, I totally get what you mean.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying you should hire somebody straight out of college or anything like that. Just what should you sell when you are looking for that, you know, first opportunity?
If you want to come to work at Louisville?
No, just anywhere. Because I feel like everyone kind of is looking for experience. Like, I'm a graduate assistant at Boston College, and I know, like, we're not just going to hire somebody right out of college unless you're a graduate assistant. So
yeah, and that is a great question. And let me answer this in two parts real quick. First part, and why I say that so bluntly, and it doesn't sound correctly, why people don't hire now with people with not experience. You got to understand the NCAA rules that have been put in place. Head coaches are now held reliable for every employee that is under their umbrella. So if you have an assistant who is not knowledgeable, who goes out and breaks several rules, that head coach is penalized, and it's in their contract. You know, so many penalties, whatever, you're fired. Rick Pitino. I don't think I need to say more from my own backyard, right? Everybody saw what happened. He didn't do that situation. His assistants did. It was a terrible situation. Now Rick's no longer at Louisville. So that's why I said you're starting to see that inexperience in that area, because head coaches truly got to know your character, who they're dealing with, to trust and put on staff, because my job's on the line if you screw up, you know, and that's not normal workforce a lot of times. So that's what's really changed the game. But to answer your question, which was a great question, I would give you my advice. I would first ask, what job does nobody want? When you take the job that nobody wants, now you got your foot in the door, because everybody wants that glamour job. Everybody wants that job that you think's already at the top. But who's willing to do the stuff at the bottom to get to the top? That's where the people who are looking to hire, that's the people they want. And then the rest will take care of itself.
Sure. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's excellent. Who else we got? Who's up next? Who's going to get some more of this fire that's on the line today? Who wants to come at Coach Sam and give him something that he could show you how to put the ball in the basket? He's getting buckets today, Coach.
I think I got another one for you, Coach.
All right, let's do it, Paige. I'm feeling you, Paige.
In terms of your biggest challenge this season, what would you say it was, and how did you overcome it?
Society. society put so much pressure in social media and storylines because they have to sell a product that we weren't going to be good, that you lost 3 seniors, Agent Derry, one of the all-time leading scorers. You just fell short of the Final Four. They're distraught. Bunch of young kids, shouldn't expect nothing. And then be able to say, don't pay attention outside of our circle, that we know what we do. We've won before, we're going to win again. That if we put in the work and you stay the course, that the end result will take care of itself. And it was awesome to see it transpire. We had a chip on our shoulder. Again, we're a program that's been very fortunate to, Coach Walls has played in 3 Final Fours. And there's times if you truly read the press and the materials out there, they ain't talking about us like that, and it was cool that we had an opportunity to play the number 1 team in the country at Thanksgiving and play Oregon, and we won that game. And that was just like, a statement for our team that was like, we told you, everybody at the beginning of the year said we were in trouble. Now look, and you all did this. It ain't the classes before. You all went out and got this. And we got a chance to do something if we stay focused and we stay together. And that's what I love about my head coach. It's not about winning championships in November, December. It's about winning in March. And it was awesome to see the early success we had in November because I know his coaching style and how he was going to continue to challenge and motivate and push us come March. And we lost a heartbreaker to Florida State, which I think's good because it was motivating us that week before Selection Monday to work even harder because as you can imagine, we went in the number 1 seed in the ACC. We won the regular season. So if you win the conference championship, it's just human nature. You think you arrived, you might be overconfident, you might not be willing to work, it's hard going into, the big dance. But when you lose, coaches understand sometimes a loss is the best thing that could happen to you because now I got you where I want you. Oh, y'all beat Oregon in November. Oh, yeah, y'all won the regular season. You just lost Sunday, y'all. We won it done. Y'all, here's the things we got to fix in order we will win the big ship. And so that's where we felt like we were as a staff, obviously, until we heard the terrible news that March Madness wasn't going to happen. So that's to answer your question there.
I have a quick question. My name's Christina Centeno, assistant at App State. I was on a call last night, a coach's clinic with Jeff, and he spoke to us about he just got off an ACC head coach's call and how next October they're thinking about doing virtual home visits only.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right. And this is why. All right. When we go into a home, every parent is like, okay, they want to see the head coach. They want to know where you stand. What's up? How much you coming? Is your head coach coming to see my baby 6 times? If she comes 6 times, then I know y'all for real. Well, here's the problem. When your baby goes to my school, who coaching your baby? Because if I'm sending out my head coach 6 times, what do you think I'm going to do the following year? I'm going to send my head coach back out again. So now who's coaching your daughter? And now they're like, whoa. I didn't like it like this. But yet, when we were recruiting her, you wanted us out all the time. Now that she's at our school, you mad because we gone all the time. You can't have it both ways. So by doing home visits, we truly go back to what we were talking about at the beginning is relationships. I not only get to recruit you, but I can honestly coach you every single day. And I think that'll help with some of the transfers because you're truly going to build special relationships instead of killing coaches going out on some of these home visits were a joke. Because these kids want a picture and they want to brand themselves and they're truly not even interested in you. So you out on a gooseneck, a goose chase, when honestly you should be back at home taking care of your nest. So that's why I think it's great that you do it on Zoom. And again, I think it's just being real and I'm not trying to be ugly. Women's basketball, and this goes for all programs, we don't make margins. We don't bring in extra money. So what can we do to save costs? And I think that's a way to save costs, but also being, without saying you're not going to put in work, because like we're doing right now, I think Zoom has now opened up doors that none of us thought were possible. Now we're saying, man, this is what we should do all the time. Mm-hmm. So
nice.
Highly in favor.
Mm-hmm. I do think we should do this all the time. You know what? I think we're gonna get another guest on next week. I think we're gonna just keep this rocking and rolling. I think we may get 2 more guests on next week. Nah, I'm just talking. But we are gonna have some more people on. You know what? I think I know who's coming on next. I think I know who's gonna come on next. All right, we're open. Any more questions?
Hey, Coach, Matt Kessler here. If you want to be a student manager at Louisville, what are some things as a coach that you feel like student managers should do to separate themselves from other student managers?
Ooh, okay, student manager at Louisville. Well, I think you need to come and get off to a good start, first of all. Like me, I saw a flyer, so immediately I had a passion. I was like, y'all, I tried to get on the men's side, and and I had a unique situation. Obviously qualified because I played the game and I knew the players on the team. So I wasn't some just guy trying to come hang out with the girls. Like there was a reason for me to be a part of this program and organization. So because I had that passion and dream and vision, I think that's what helped me get in the door, because I saw myself in the first interview. So that's what I would encourage you is, or somebody, that you take it serious. When you walk in, don't look like a first-time college student, hadn't combed their hair or brushed their teeth or got flip-flops on and it's snowing outside, that you look like you got it together and that you're motivated and you want to help out and make that program better. So, and again, it's just like I told the assistants, there's no difference between a student assistant, a video coordinator, assistant coach. All of you are, and those who want to move up or take a new job, there's going to be that anxiety of the unknown. But if you have the right attitude and determination, you can learn the profession with the right guidance and help that's, put in front of you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
And don't go see Jeff with a tie on. That's what I did my first time. I walked in there. I walked in there, I had a tie on, and we was meeting for the first time. He said, do me a favor, take that off. I was like, what? I don't like ties. Had to take my tie off. But
I will tell you this, that probably deep down still made a good impression. Even though he busted your chops, that was still a good move.
I mean, I got the job. Still my guy, so did something. We're open. Any more questions?
These are great questions. I like this group. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man, you come back whenever you want to, man. Whenever you want to. We always open in the coaching corner.
I love your energy, Coach. Man.
I appreciate it. That's all about giving. That's what this is about.
Yep.
Helping each other. Somebody gave me a chance, so that's how life works. You got to pass the torch and help the next ones on.
That's for sure. That's what we live by.
Coach, I got one more question, and it might not have an answer, but do you have goals like beyond Louisville? Like, do you aspire to be a head coach, or is that not really the way you go about everything and live your life?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Obviously, I have goals. I do want to be a head coach one day, but I'm not seeking to be a head coach. I'm happy where I'm at. If the opportunity presents itself and somebody comes and it seems the right situation, obviously I'd listen. But I'm in a really good situation with good people. And the one thing I've learned in this business is, and again, I'm egoless. I don't have to be a head coach. I told you, I'm happy waxing the cars on the car lot and making sure they look shiny and good so we can get the sale. I don't have to be the guy that has my name on the back of the bumper. And again, I've got other things in my life. I'm a dad of 3 little girls. So I work in an environment that's stable with great coworkers where I have life balance. A wife who loves living in Louisville. So those things weigh heavy on my heart. Where I don't have the eagerness or the urge to hurry and jump ship. That there's something to be said about being happy. And when you're happy, again, it's like like I told you from the beginning how I was raised. I don't chase money; I chase happiness. And I've always been taught when you chase happiness, then the rest of life will take care of itself, and it's pretty much in God's hands. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, hey, I've had one hell of a run. Mm-hmm. But my goal, like I told you, is I'm trying to make sure I don't get fired. So I'm trying to make sure I become better every single day. So that's my goal. How can I be better as a person, on and off the court, and so I can have value in my profession?
Hey, Coach, this is Anastasia Vidas from your college. I have a question on how you guys teach your offense and your defense. Like, do you guys usually go whole, part, whole, or do you go part first and then kind of introduce things in a bigger scale later on?
Yeah, that's a great question. Great question. We do a lot of whole stuff. We like to just kind of put it all together. And again, Coach Walls is a genius at this. He allows turnovers to happen. He allows mistakes because it goes back to, I think, Lindsay, the question that you asked me about, molding or changing a player. We need failure to happen before we help change habits. If you go out there and we just play a scrimmage, like some days on the first day of practice, and it goes back to DP's question of practice plan, we're like, all right, coach, first day, it's like Christmas. We can't sleep, man. We can't wait. What are we doing today at practice? He said, we scrimmaging. I'm like, what are we doing? He's like, we scrimmaging all the time. I was like, coach, for real? And he said, yeah. And I was like, okay. So I don't question nothing. I'm like, this dude got something in his head. And, he wants to go out there, and I'll never forget it. I think it was Dana's freshman year, and he wanted her to go out and, and see what she could do. And he told me to chart practice or something. She had like 12 turnovers. And after I wrote the 12th one, I was like, okay, I know what he's doing now. Because at the end of practice, we all came up and we showed the stats. And then now he knew that he can introduce the offense, and he knew that those kids were embarrassed by the numbers they put up in the scrimmage. And now he's got them where they want. And now they're going to listen. But, again, that's why I tell you, this guy is a genius in the way he operates. It's not the normal, book that's put out there. This is how you do it. He's just got a great pulse and a sense on people. And he knows the battles he has to face, and he's willing. And this is the biggest thing I think I have to share about Coach Walls. He is willing to take a loss in order to get a big win later down the road. College basketball, you got to understand, we're not football. We're not where every game matters in order for us to play for a national championship. I told you, his philosophy is we got to make sure we're ready by March. If we're dialed in, we got this thing rolling by March, we're good. I don't care what our record is. Now, it helps that if you beat some teams earlier so you can, get an automatic bid. But he's not losing sleep on anything on the front end, and because of that mindset, it's a process. And when it's a process, you're not going to be great at the beginning, and I think that's what helps me keep my energy and passion, because I don't have fear, I don't have stress, I don't look distraught when it's ugly at the beginning, because I know what our end product is, and it's going to get better every day. So that's kind of to answer your question. We kind of put it in a hole, and then as we go through that process, then we'll clean it up as we go.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then here's another thing to answer the question about offense and defense. We don't have the same system. So obviously we recruit the best players to Louisville, and then it's our job as a coach to determine what plays, what defense can we put them to be successful. Before Asia Dur's freshman year, we ran a lot of sets. And then when she got there, we were like, whoo, this girl's special. She needs space, the way she's trained. We need to let her get downhill and go to work, a bunch of ISOs. So we changed our whole philosophy and went dribble drive her freshman year, and we ain't never had that in. And again, that goes credit to my boss that, everybody asks him, what's your philosophy? And he always responds, to win. If I got to play 2-3 zone, we're going to play 2-3 zone. If I got to press you, we're going to press you. I ain't going to get caught up in what my ego is. Like, oh, I run the 2-2-1. I run this. Well, if you ain't winning with the 2-2-1, quit running the 2-2-1. Do what you got to do to win. And again, that's what makes that dude so special and so unique.
Love that. Love that.
I mean, to piggyback off of that, how you guys ever scrap kind of everything and be like, okay, this is not working. Let's just do something completely different right now.
And again, that's what makes him special. I could do. Y'all got to bring me back for this guy. Listen, I ain't trying to float his boat because he's my boss. I'm just keeping it real, y'all. You don't have the success like he does unless you think the way he does. Again, because the questions were brought up earlier, how we work as a staff. The one thing that we got is we're transparent. We are real with each other. There is no fake love. There is no fake talk. If it looks like crap and it ain't working, he is the first one to take ownership. And I think that is a gift as well. As much as you want, and like I told you, fill your cup up and have the knowledge and be ready to answer questions, you also got to be able to look in the mirror and say, I'm the one screwing this up, and tell your players that, and have enough confidence that they're still going to trust you and believe in you to guide them. And I think that's what he has as a gift. If he puts them in a situation that it was his, ideas or his thinking, in order for us to win, he'll tell them, hey, y'all, this one's on me tonight. I should have never started off in that press because we let them get going way too early where we should have packed it in because they can't shoot, and then the kids are like, okay, oh man, yeah, coach, that's your fault. Don't do it again. He's like, all right, I got you, and that's the cool, dynamic that we have within our team that, You know, they know that we're not going to do anything to make them look bad. And if we do, shoot, we're the ones that are going to have a hard time sleeping at night. And that's that special bond that you got that now they're going to run through a wall for you. But if you always point the blame at them and telling them they're wrong, well, shit, what do you do wrong? You ain't perfect either. So that's a cool thing working for Coach Walls.
Mm. And you guys do some breakdown stuff. You do a lot of, guard work, post work. I know you're phenomenal with that player development. So could you share with the group some of the things that you do to help these kids to get to the next level?
Understand strengths and weaknesses. This game's really mental, so, I always like to know, what do you think you do well? Because I don't want to lose that. Because you're always going to need that when it comes back. If you think, man, coach, she can't guard me off the bounce, and you having that bad game and you looking at me, I'm like, take her off the bounce. I know you feeling that bounce game, right? Or like Jasmine Jones, if she got 15 feet, it was over. All I was yelling was gooseneck, because I needed that follow through, because it's a wrap. The only way you stopping her is you can't let her catch it, So you got to understand strengths and weaknesses. So if they're having a bad game and they can't shoot the three, and you look at the shot chart and they shot 3 threes, I'm going to be like, hey, shot ain't falling that, but let's take it in, girl, because they can't stop you, inside the three-point arc, I think that's the impact a coach can have on a player. I mean, you're never going to score, but you truly can mess with a player's mind. You can either impact it or prevent them to have confidence. So I think that's half the thing of player development, is helping players believe in themselves. And then, like Coach Walls always says, let's put them in a situation where they don't show what they can't do. If you can't shoot the three, let's put plays in that we got pin downs, or, some dribble drive isolations where they can showcase what they do well, so they never do get embarrassed. And again, that's where those hard talks come in. And like I told you earlier, with the development of our calendar, I know you want to be a 3-point shooter, but if we're in season, this ain't the time to be changing your shot, baby. We had all summer to help you be a 3-point shooter. Let's keep real. If you want to get on the court and you want to play, here's what you're going to do. And at the same time, we're going to put you in a situation to look good. And I think when they hear it like that and telling them what you can't do all the time, and that how you have a vision for what they can do and how they can succeed, then it's a beautiful mix. And that's what we've been able to do over the years.
Nice. Any more questions? We're going to take one more question for Coach Sam. Remember those 4 things, man. He keeps bringing those up. Make sure you don't miss those 4 things. The first one, make sure during the summer you're working on those individual skill sets with your players. The second thing is, when you get to the fall, make sure you're doing you know what type of team you have at that point. And at the end of the fall, you should know everybody's role. Everybody should know exactly what they're supposed to be doing, where they should be getting the shots at. KYP, know your personnel. Then when you get into that stretch, that home stretch, make sure that everybody's getting the right shot and the right set at the right time. I think you keep going back to that, so I want to make sure that we understand that as a group. Any more questions? One more question. We're open for one more question. All right. Well,
I want to add one more thing, DP, though, to that, with the areas that you just discussed. The last thing would be understand your head coach. As much as you all are getting inspired, I challenge you to follow certain people on Instagram to get new ideas. You got to be able to be real with yourself and understand what your head coach wants you to bring back. You could have this great drill, or this, like, let's say your coach doesn't like floaters, and you saw this phenomenal Sam Purcell Instagram floater series, and you know that they don't like it, but don't go back and do it. Find a way that you can provide player development that will make that head coach happy, because when you become a head coach, then you can decide what your players work on. But when you're the assistant, it goes back, like I told you, you're waxing cars. You try to make sure it looks good and shiny. And the last thing you want to do is pull up that car with a flat tire, because your coach is in your ear talking about what you're working on. And now you don't have the confidence or juice to go out there and put it in your players, because you're looking over your shoulder, because you're like, oh, Lord, they don't believe in you. So I think that's important, too, that you don't lose sight of that.
The juice. All right. And just to give everybody a little bit of encouragement before we get off of here, just make sure that you're self-assessing. Make sure you can identify the areas that you need to work on, your performance gap indicators. Make sure you can close the gap in your life, because we all know that your life is a direct correlation to how you coach. So if your life is a mess, get your life right. Like, get yourself together, before you be talking about you're going out here coaching other people. So make sure that you're working on yourself and you're becoming a better person. And then your coaching will automatically improve. It's coaching development, personal development. Then you go to coaching performance. They go hand in hand, right? So Coach Sam, man, we appreciate you coming on, bro.
Man.
We're thankful for you. And we're thankful for everybody that's on the call, because we know that you could be anywhere, but you decided to be here. So we always want to show our gratitude. We're thankful for you joining the Coaching Corner. And we're going to be back next week. And we got a special guest coming up next week. Even though, Coach Sam, you special too, bro.
I love it, man. I think it's special. Anybody who comes on here, like I said, gives back. One last thing I want to give you is my email address. If anybody wants to write me or has questions further on, my email address is Sam P as in the letter Paul, at GoCards, GOCARDS.com. Sam P at GoCards.com. Email me. Next week, I think it's a dead period. So if you email me next week, I don't respond. It's just because we can't respond to anybody because of NCAA rules. I think it's the 4th through the 10th is a dead period. But other than that, I will get back. It always helps if you write in the email, hey, this is DP. I was on with you, during the conference call. So it helps me piece together, because as you can imagine, I get hit, from a lot of different angles. And I'll do my best to respond as soon as possible.
No doubt. I'm just going to text you and call you. All right. Man. Appreciate it, Coach.
And keep everybody 1% better a day. I love it. Y'all take care.
Thank you so much, Coach. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was wonderful.
Have a good one.
Welcome to the Coaching Corner.